But what people don't know is that there's going to be a show that's the other weeks, and I'm here to say and proud to announce that that show will.
Thanks for coming back to Bigfoot Society, your weekly cryptozoology focused podcast where I talk to a different individual in the cryptozoology field, authors, researchers, artists, all sorts of people. If you're listening to this on iTunes, please go ahead, subscribe to this podcast and rate us 5 stars, as it helps us get more into the podcast stratosphere and get better guests on the show. Also, if you're on YouTube, do us a favor, like this video and subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost a thing, and it helps us get out there into the YouTube stratosphere as well. Be sure to leave what your favorite part of the episode was in the comments as well. This week I'm joined with my old friend Andy Matzke, now showrunner for the Small Town Monsters production company. He's the guy in charge of all those great podcasts going on over there. Of course, longtime listeners know I'm a big fan of STM, and it's been fun seeing Andy get more involved over the years and more responsibility. He is just rocking it, as the whole team is over there. But you won't want to miss this episode, though, as there's some extremely important news from STM that is shared from it. And again, I thanks to Seth and the team for partnering with Bigfoot Society in order to break this news, which was really cool. And I'm excited for the community. This is gonna definitely throw the community for a loop. They're not expecting it, so I was pretty happy when I heard it. I have a feeling you guys are gonna be happy as well. But just sit back, relax, get something to drink, whatever it is that you do, and hang out with me and Andy Matzke from Small Town Monsters. All right, welcome back to the Bigfoot Society podcast. I have the privilege of talking to someone I haven't talked to for a while in an actual interview, my friend Andy Matzke from Ohio. How's it going, Andy?
Oh, it's going good. Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight.
Totally.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I had you on the podcast was, I want to say it was September 2020.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a while.
There's been a lot that's happened since
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
So for people that haven't listened to that episode, or might not know who Andy is, currently Andy is involved with the Small Town Monsters production company. You guys do a lot of amazing documentaries about cryptids, and I want to say, maybe legends, small town stories, all sorts of stuff. It started out with the Bigfoot stuff, and then now you guys are doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, now we run the gamut. We got Bigfoot, UFOs, like you're saying, legends, all sorts of things that are fit under the umbrella of strange and unusual.
Totally. And so back then when I was talking to you, that was around the time of Mark of the Bell Witch, I think.
Yeah.
Is around that time.
Yeah.
At that time, your responsibilities with Small Town Monsters were a bit different. How was it back then as opposed to what you're, responsible for now?
Back in September of 2020, my main responsibility for STM, the thing I did the most was I was the person running the Monsteropolis Instagram. I don't know if that was ever really publicly said. I mean, that's now been turned into STMBN, but we'll get to that.
Right.
I was running that, but my responsibilities, I was occasionally a crew member and really not a whole lot more. You mentioned Mark of the Bell Witch. I was one of the cinematographers on that project, and I was also in 2020 involved with On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Journey shoot.
Totally.
So my involvement was mainly camera work and cinematography. Now that's a bit different. Now I am what we call the showrunner of the Small Town Monsters Broadcasting Network, which is a network of podcasts that, are all produced in-house at STM, sort of STM made podcasts which I'm actually glad I get to like explain this, because I don't think we've ever really explained that since it's happened. It's been
Oh, this
mentioned
is great then.
countless times, but yeah, this
Yeah.
is sort of, and that was sort of born out of the fact that I I started an internship with Small Town Monsters
Okay.
at the end of the summer of 2021 in like August, and I was at that point just editing Monsteropolis, and then we were going to add Heather Moser's show, The Lore You Know,
Exactly.
which is a great show, and
It's a great show.
I love being a part of that. I'm really grateful for that opportunity. But so the Small Town Monsters Broadcasting Network was, well, we now have more than one show, because for the longest time, Monsteropolis was the official show of Small Town Monsters. And so now we have more than one. So how do we package these? How do we deal with this? And my idea was, to sort of create this podcasting thing, this sort of name to put
Wow.
behind both these shows that wasn't just STM, that also was born out of the idea that I didn't want to have to manage more than one social media account.
Super smart on your part.
If we're
Holy
being
mackerel. Yeah.
completely honest,
Yeah.
especially because even then we knew that The Lore You Know would not be the only new podcast that we were doing.
Okay.
And I have a love-hate relationship with social media. So then the idea of not only like growing other accounts from the start, which is tricky, but having just to keep track of another account when I struggled to keep up even like today with one and like my personal account, that's sort of what it was born out of. So I wanted a cool logo to put before the shows, and so I texted, or maybe I talked to Zach Palmisano, who does cinematography work and does some of our artwork at Small Town Monsters. And I texted him like, hey, can you make me a logo that's like, I don't know, something to do with Small Town Monsters and podcasting and like a network, and just see what you can do with that. And that's all I gave him. And then I think a few days later, he sent me the logo that said Small Town Monsters Broadcasting Network and had STMBN on it. And here we are with all that.
That's so wild. Yeah. Man, how
so
crazy
the
is
name, I have to give credit to Zach Palmisano for that, because that wasn't me. That's all him.
You're absolutely right. My goodness, so like the Bigfoot Society social media empire is a beast to reckon with. Holy mackerel, it's nuts. I can't imagine. Well, I can imagine because I'm doing it, but like, I mean, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
I mean, part of the focus that I want to do with these shows now is I want there to be audiences for the shows, especially the new ones, because I mean, that's a whole podcasting side of it. But I want there to be audiences with that, and I think that's kind of difficult to do when you have only one Instagram, but we're trying and we're seeing, and I think there's plenty of fans of Lore You Know out there.
Oh, for sure.
So
at least one, and that's me.
Yeah.
Wink. No, there's so many.
Yeah,
I can't imagine how many people are downloading that sucker. Like, I love it because it's people I enjoy listening to, but I don't have to listen to myself talk, which
exactly. That's
right?
part of why I like it.
Yeah, you get it, dude.
That's part of why I love this whole gig, is because I love podcasts. I enjoy like the thought that goes into them a lot, but I can't really stand the sound of my own voice too much. So that as much as I can minimize myself talking, it's great. And so that's part of what's great about being in charge of these shows. And I love Lore You Know because well, that's the thing, is everything we do is at least at the STMBN, is something we enjoy. That's something that I like about it. And I think Lore You Know is a perfect reflection of that, because of how it has the influence on storytelling. That is a big part of Heather's interest in all this. And like all of us at STM, is the stories and the importance of that and the history behind those, as her whole spiel at the beginning of the show goes. Like, that's truly something that we all believe in and really support. And so we really all support that show a lot. And then Monsteropolis is just us all goofing around.
So good. So good. Hold on 1 second here.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try the equivalent of putting a gas in an airplane when it's up in the air. Hold on one
Okay.
second. All right. Hey, are you there?
Yep. Am I there? Hello?
All right,
Hello?
hold on. I'm going back. All right, I'm back. All right.
Okay.
I was
Do
trying
you
to
just
fix
need me
something.
to
It didn't
speak
work.
up?
Never mind. Technology is the best, but we're good.
Oh yeah.
We are good.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you, when is Adam's show coming out?
Adam's show is coming April-ish.
Okay.
There's not a set release date for that. Adam's show is the weird side of normal, for those that don't know. That's a show that's coming sometime in April. We got to record more episodes for that before we think about actually releasing them. Because right now we have 2 in the can, and one of those we want to not be the second episode, if that makes any sense. It's
No, I
like
totally get it.
that's not going to be
Totally
episode
get
2. So, not that it's a bad episode, it's just podcasting stuff.
Yep.
So we got to record a few more, but that's probably going to be April some point.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
hopefully.
I don't think I've been able to talk to you about any of the stuff that's come out in the last few years.
Yeah.
Like Journey, Dark Skies, Rougarou, Discovery.
Wow.
That's a lot, dude.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I can talk a lot about a few of those, and others
Okay.
I can't as much as I probably should be able to. But I could talk about those Bigfoot movies all day.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about those Bigfoot movies. So what were those I know definitely the Journey was a very crazy experience for you, right? Like
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Those 2 shoots are 2 very different shoots.
Hmm.
The Journey shoot was probably the craziest shoot I've ever been on. Like it was just it's such a pace, like a high pace that we were filming interviews and we were traveling. I mean, we were on that trip for a week, and the ground we covered in a week is pretty crazy. We were, spending every night in a different place throughout that region. And then we were also like Bigfooting while we were doing that.
Yeah.
Like every other night or so, we would be out in the woods looking, hoping to hear something. But I remember that shoot really fondly. Like, of course, like in the moment, it's sort of brutal. But looking back on it, I had so much fun because that was the first time that I feel like I was really out there actually looking for something. And it's sort of that I think anyone who knows that it's like the first time you're actually in a place where you feel like something could happen, you sort of start thinking like, I don't
Oh
know if I
yeah.
actually want this to happen.
Yeah.
And
No,
that
I
that
get that.
happened to me out on Buck Mountain in the Adirondacks, where it was like, we could have anything happen out here now. Do I want that to happen? And it's just, it was, I don't know if I want that to happen. Nothing did happen. The woods were just really, really quiet, which was kind of creepy. But that shoot was a lot of fun because it was just a fun trip with like my dad. Is sort of
Yep.
how I look back on it. Like all the trips I go on with him are like a lot like that. And also meeting great people, like meeting Steve Calls,
Oh
meeting
yeah.
Mike Ann. I met Mike
Totally.
Ann on that trip. Great dude. And it was just an extraordinary experience where you get sort of a glimpse of a whole region of the country that's very beloved, and it's really interesting. Especially the thing that I really like about that movie, in the end, is I vividly remember, and I think I might have told this story somewhere before, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but we had a screening at STM headquarters of that film. And
Okay.
on the drive home, I was talking to my dad and we were talking about the film. And that's the first time I had seen the final cut of the movie. And I sort of realized that we did what we like set out to do. And that was a really cool feeling, which like we set out to, you know, capture that region of the country and capture the Bigfoot phenomenon in that part of the country. and we
Hmm.
did. And it was like, oh, that's great. Like whether it succeeds or it fails, like it doesn't matter because that movie did what it needed to do. And it's really cool. Like
Yeah,
it's
no, it
really
did.
cool to say that. And that sort of, I think every film I've been a part of has done that, but it takes, for me personally, different amounts of time for that to happen, depending on like how much of a preconceived idea of what I thought the film was going to be, if that makes any sense. But like Bell Witch, it took me a long, long time to be like, oh, that movie's fantastic. And
That
like
movie's
it's just,
scary.
that movie is great. I love it. It might be
It's
my
so crazy, dude.
favorite.
It's such a good movie.
It might be my favorite Legend STM
Really?
film. It
Wow.
really might be.
Oh my goodness.
But
Yeah. No, like I didn't know how crazy it was going to be going into it when I watched it a few
mhm,
years ago. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is wild."
yeah.
But as someone who grew up in Western Mass, like or Western Massachusetts, Discovery captured um just the look of nature in those mountains in the Adirondacks in a way I haven't seen in many movies and documentaries.
Mhm.
So for
I
that alone,
appreciate
I
that a
think it's
lot.
a
Yeah.
fantastic movie.
That's see that's part of I feel like what we were doing, and I think part of what we were thinking is we did our research and we're like, there's not a ton of documentaries just about the Adirondacks and about
Mhm.
like this that seem to capture it like we've seen it. And because we had worked in Whitehall before, and I wasn't a part of that, but I had been around that area of the country before briefly. So to like go in and go, this is the place without Bigfoot, and then sort of bring that through, like, is sort of what we try to do in all of this. I'd
Gotcha.
like to
So
think.
Andy, this is gonna be terrible because I'm gonna ask you questions. I don't think I've asked these to you before. So let's
Go ahead.
party on, guys. Have you ever had an experience where you've actually like seen a Bigfoot? Um,
No,
I haven't either. Okay, I was just
no.
curious.
I since we've last talked, I think I might have heard one
Oh,
in
really?
a way. I think I've when we were this is I'm just gonna plug everything we do throughout this. This
You
is in
should, as
the
you should.
Beyond the Trail Monster of Minerva.
Oh, yeah.
When they were out, my little story of hearing a wood knock is
Mm,
I was sitting out on the front porch of the cabin in Minerva. Um, Seth, Heather, Eli, and Alex were
yep.
over at another part of the property. My dad and I had just gotten there. Tommy might have been there too. I don't
Okay.
remember. I was sitting on the front porch just taking it in. It was a gorgeous day. Um, and then all of a sudden, I just heard like a, and I was like, "There's no way I just heard
Oh, yeah,
what
I
I
remember
thought
okay, I
I
remember
heard."
that episode now.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like
Yep.
there's no way that just happened, and that just happened here,
Mm,
because you know, to brag a bit, I've been coast to coast looking for these things, and I haven't heard anything. I've been in, the Olympics and the
yeah,
Adirondacks, and I haven't
that's
heard
true.
anything. And I'm sitting an hour from where I call home, and I think I just heard something. And it was weird. And I've heard other things in Minerva since then. No vocals, just like wood knocks or like rock clacks. I swear we heard
Oh,
one night.
really? Wow.
Or
Okay.
that was weird. That's where it's like nothing should be doing that here.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Wow.
Except a person or a Bigfoot. And so, no, I haven't seen anything, um, but I've tried. I've tried.
And I don't know if this is just the way that we're talking about the Bigfoot Project for a bit,
Hmm.
which is, you were just talking about that, and
Yeah.
uh, it's it's one of the favorite things, one of my favorite things that Small Town Monsters does because it's such a wide look at
Hmm.
one area through the viewpoints of different people, through different seasons, and all
Yeah.
trying, all focused on, you know, figuring out what is going on in this area. Is it Bigfoot? It might be something else, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's been things that have
See.
happened so far that have definitely pointing to it in a
Hmm.
wild way.
Yeah. The things that that I love about that is that the idea of the Bigfoot Project, I believe, the way it seems, is that that was born out of the fact that there were things happening
Mm-hmm.
at the cabin. It wasn't like we had this idea. It's not like Bigfoot Project was written on a sticky note and we
Right.
were like, always we have to do this and let's find a place to do it. It was we have a place that this could happen, like that we could do this at. So let's go investigate and let's go, be there within reason as much as possible and see what we can have happen in this, legendary area, not too far from where so much has happened in Bigfoot lore.
Oh,
And
sure.
the answer to that seems to be, well, stuff happens. Like
Yeah.
my dad had a rock thrown at him, apparently,
Yes.
which is kind of wild. Like I've heard things out there. Seth's apparently seen something out there. We
Mm-hmm.
found a track out there, allegedly. I have my doubts about that, but we can get into that later if we want. But see, I don't know. You've seen the episode. I haven't seen the episode because I'm in it.
Allegedly is such a great word,
But
isn't it?
like,
It's
I
such a
don't want to
great
say
word.
I don't have any doubts about the validity of there being something in the ground. Like
Yeah.
there was something there.
Right.
My doubts are if it was a Bigfoot track or not. And I don't know how much of my actual sentiment that I was feeling in the moment is in the final episode because at that point I was the one editing the episode. I haven't edited a single episode of Bigfoot Project, but I was going to be the one editing that episode, and I knew that, so I was just saying whatever I thought,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing I wouldn't put it in the episode.
But that's funny.
And so I was saying things like "time to go look at the dirt smudge" and things like that on camera,
Oh
and I don't
man,
think that
can you?
that didn't make it in, but hopefully Eli Watson was nice to me, but
No, that did not get in the
but
episode
no,
because
it's
it
just
would have
with
been a way different episode if it
yeah, I
had
think,
been.
and then you start playing like Three Stooges music in the background.
Yeah.
But no, we found that track, and it's interesting. It sits in the STM office, sort of just
Oh, that's
taking up
cool.
space. It's like
Okay.
always in the way.
Yeah.
There certainly seems to be something there. What do I don't know. I don't know what it is. It was fun to make a track cast. We were like
Yeah, that would have
driving.
been cool.
We were
I've never
driving
done that.
around Minerva, outside of Minerva, calling different like Bigfoot researchers we knew,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure it out. We're like calling Cliff
Yep.
and Shane Corson
Oh, cool.
and all these people. We're like, how do we make a track? Because we don't know, or like a track cast. We're like, I don't know.
There's got to be like a WikiHow out
Yeah.
there on
Oh, we
how
should
to
have looked
do a
that up.
Bigfoot
That would be
track,
great.
right?
If there's
Yeah.
not, there definitely
There
needs
should
to
be.
Yeah.
So to go back a few minutes, I
Mhm.
feel, is there like a certain like atmosphere when you go out to that cabin, or like what's the atmosphere when you go out
What's
there?
the atmosphere when you go out to the cabin?
Yeah.
When it's daytime, it's a very nice, like
Okay.
rural country property. It's to me, it's really nice because right now I'm living pretty close to downtown Akron, and so there's
Okay.
plenty of woods around. I mean, the national park's right up the road. It's a
Oh, wow.
very urban area, so to get out there, it's really nice for me because it's like far away from civilization, which is really nice.
Mm.
And then the sun goes down, and
Mm.
it's sort of like everything gets dark, and you sort of spread out across the property if you're doing the night ups that way, and it sort of feels like anything could happen because weird lights have been seen out there,
Oh, yeah. Right.
and wood knocks, and the phenomenon that they had happening when they first got there where they heard the running and all that. It really seems like anything could happen, and it almost seems like it's just a matter of time. I mean, right
Mm-hmm.
now there's not a whole lot going out at the cabin, but when you were there in the summertime, it sort of was like something's gonna happen here soon
Yeah.
because that's what's been happening. So
That's
it's sort
crazy.
of there's sort of a vibe to it. I don't know. I don't want to say I don't get creeped out in the woods, but I rarely get a vibe from a place these days like that's creepy. I just don't really. I mean, certainly there are creepy places and there are creepy things that happen,
Right.
but I don't know.
Have you ever been out on a shoot or anything and been kind of creeped out, or pretty much this whole time you've been like, man, whatevs, it's cool.
I'm sure I have been. That first night out on Buck Mountain was kind of spooky.
Yeah.
There was a time or two when we were shooting Discovery in the Olympics when we knew there were mountain lion nearby,
Oh,
and
that's
that was
that's
kind of
nothing to.
freaky.
Yep.
And there was, I think this none of this made it into the movie, but we've released some of it. We did a night ops when we were filming Discovery on the property where the nest site is, not like in the nest site area,
Okay.
but like
Okay.
right when you get in there. And that was kind of freaky because that was another time, almost more than any time before, where it was like the odds of me seeing something are so like high right
Yeah,
now.
right.
Like
You're amped up.
given
Yeah.
like it's like we're in Washington State, down this dirt road is the nest site,
Yeah.
and through the woods and whatever. But like, and so much has happened here or within however many miles you want to say. It's just maybe we were there in the wrong season, like it's really down to how much you want to, believe in all this stuff. It's just one's here. It's just, where is it really?
Yeah. Oh, that's
It's like
crazy.
one's here in this one or two, like a few are here in this general area. Just how close are they tonight? Was sort of the like feeling.
Did you so when you went out to the PNW, you guys went to Forks, right?
Yes.
Do you have any Twilight adventures out there?
Not as many as we would have liked, probably.
That's too
We
bad.
went to there at the resort we were staying at. There was a Twilight themed like restaurant or like little it was not a restaurant.
For
It was
sure,
like
dude.
you walk up and
Yeah.
there's Twilight like cardboard cutouts there, and all the
Oh.
food is like Twilight themed.
You don't have to tell me, dude.
But not really. No, sadly. Yeah, no, but Forks is great. Forks is where
Forks is cool.
Rialto Beach is.
Yep.
I love that place.
Did you
I
get
think
to
of that
go
place often.
to the Hoh Rainforest?
Yes.
Dude, that place is great.
There.
Yeah, we took a trip out there a long time ago, and it's such a beautiful area.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
So
those trees, like the trees are so tall. I've never seen the redwoods, but like, so those were the tallest trees I've ever seen, and it was just your neck gets sore from like looking up. It's
Look
crazy.
at us. Look at us just reminiscing like a bunch of old guys playing checkers at the Cracker Barrel. Let's talk about the future, Andy. What has got you excited about Small Town Monsters' upcoming slate of 2022? That's like, oh man, that is really cool.
The Alaska on the Trail of Bigfoot. I'm really excited for
that. Yeah.
That's exciting. American Werewolves. I'm actually really, really excited for, because I shot Santino Vital and I shot some of the there'll be cut-in footage of werewolves that some of it's reused, but some of it's brand new, and that was a lot of fun to shoot. And I want to see sort of the whole vibe of that movie come together, because Seth keeps describing it in ways that I don't quite understand, but I'm sure it will come through very.
So how do you describe it?
How do I describe it? Well, he kept using like Twin Peaks like and things like that. You good?
Nope.
Okay.
Hold on.
I blew your mind.
You did. Yeah. Definitely drink your Faygo on that one.
That's okay. Yeah.
Twin Peaks. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, Twin Peaks, sort of like an 80s vibe. Like the whole thing's in 4:3, which is really cool. And that was really fun to shoot in, like for shooting werewolf recreations. There's a lot of like, at least in what we did, there's a lot of like colored lights and things like that with like werewolves. So that's just fun. And slow-mo werewolves. So
I remember him saying that there could be some synth music in that. So that would be the Twin Peaks connection, probably.
I really want to hear that. The rumor is Brandon Dalo synth music, and I really want to hear that. I really want to hear that.
That'd be so good.
What else am I looking forward to? Jersey Devil is going to be really interesting. That Bloodlines, the Jersey Devil curse.
I'm apprehensive about that one. It kind of freaks me out, but I'm sure it'll be amazing.
How does it freak you out? Are you
it's
worried we're
about
gonna
the
mess it
devil,
up? Oh,
Andy.
okay. No, that's fair.
It's about the devil.
Yeah,
No, I don't know. It's
yeah.
just weird.
It's a weird story, but I'm excited to see how we put it together.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
Just like some crazy kangaroo hopping all over the
Yeah.
place. And like,
Yeah, we've hired a bunch of kangaroos, and
oh, man.
we're currently auditioning kangaroos, and
Oh, I love it.
yeah, yeah,
Send your audition tapes as a
yeah.
kangaroo to Andy.
Yeah, if any kangaroos are in the audience, we are currently looking for a few kangaroos.
Oh, I should
Perfect.
point out that I just realized I'm using this mug and I do not endorse this, but it's a cool Sasquatch as a military guy. I got it for Christmas. So if anyone
Cool.
sees this and like, hey, Bigfoot Society is all about blah blah blah. Well, settle down
It
there,
looks
Mr. Man.
cool, okay?
Settle down, dude. I'm maybe not. Whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Just let them comment. Let them be
just
mad.
bring
It'll
it, dude.
boost
I'm
you up
starting
in
to
the
get comments on
algorithm.
my
It'll
YouTubes.
boost you up in the algorithm. They don't
Dude,
even realize it. You
that's
can
true.
do that thing where you hide them and they still comment, and it looks like they comment to them, and they're fine. You'll be fine.
Wait, oh really? You can
I think
hide them?
when you hide comments, like hide a person, hide from channel, it's still hey, it still looks like you're like typing your little comments. Yeah, I did that today. There was
I
someone
love that.
who commented the same nonsense twice on a Monsteropolis, and I said, "You're done."
Who was? Oh, I think I said this to you on Instagram. I was like, I've seen stuff on the Small Town Monsters comment page that has made me livid with anger.
There's some. Hey,
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
want to entertain the haters,
Yeah,
but
that's
some of
true.
you just need to put it in a better way. Like articulate yourselves better, and I'll be fine with it. But if I
That's
can't
true.
understand what they're saying, it makes me more mad. Like
Hmm.
there's one where like they called me a dweeb in gray, and then I think they proceeded to let
Oh my
like the
goodness.
Siri like auto prompt thing fill the rest of the comment because I have no clue what they were trying to say. And if if it was anything close to like coherent, I would understand, and I'd be like, well, they don't like me. Oh well. But the fact that they're just saying nonsense is just
Yeah.
annoying. Yeah, they'd say mean things, but it's fine. It's fine. I
So,
don't let it get to me.
which is good, and you
Yeah.
really shouldn't read the comments, probably. Anyways, I'm
Yeah,
starting to
no one
learn that.
should, but
So
I
let's
gotta.
pretend you're in a future shoot and you guys actually do like you come upon a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's like right there. It's in your
Mhm.
face. Like first off, what is that going to do to your what's your inner mind? Like what are the changes that are going to happen in your mind? Cuz you know there's going to be changes
There's gonna be
no matter
changes.
who sees it.
Um, I think that I'll immediately doubt the fact I'm seeing it. But
Mm,
the fact that if it's like your situation is there's a group of us, so we're all seeing it, I'm comforted by that because I'm constantly worried that if I ever see anything, it'll just be my mind like playing tricks on me because I've
sure.
been into this stuff since I was a little kid. So if
Yeah.
anyone's gonna like have their mind make something up, I mean, it's
Mhm.
me. Uh, but I think what would really change is I would want an answer of what it is. Because right
Mhm.
now I'm content with going, I think they exist, but I don't have the answers. Like there's a missing piece of the mystery. Might be this, might be this. I think it's just a big ape, but if I saw one, I would need to know the answer, I think, would be
Gotcha.
part of that. Um, I don't think it would. I think I'd lose. I think I'd lose some sleep. Would be part of it too. Um, if my dad wasn't there, I'd then immediately call my dad.
Oh yeah, he would be pumped.
Hmm. Yeah, he'd be really happy.
He'd
And
be super pumped.
I'd probably then. I mean, you were asking for like where my mind what would be, but what I would do is I'd immediately like write everything down
Mhm.
and write as much as I could. Probably even draw as much as I could, even though I'm not artistic, and just try to capture as much as I could right then and there. And if we're on a shoot, probably immediately start documenting as much as I could because
Yeah.
I know my memory and I know it's real bad. So I'd try to get as much as I could,
Yep.
you know, in writing or solidified as I could would probably be it. Or I wouldn't think that much and I'd probably just like start crying and or like being really giddy and being like, that just happened. probably be
Yeah,
really happy.
probably any of those. But I think that the recording as quick as you can after it happened
Mhm.
is a super smart. That I've thought about, like, what if I was in a place in like Area X or something, and like, you know, you see a Bigfoot, like I would immediately start talking into a voice recorder, you know,
Mhm.
unless it was still there, and then I'm like probably not gonna at the
Yeah.
same time. Which would
Also,
it would be crazy if it. Could you imagine recording a podcast while you're looking at a Bigfoot?
that'd be sweet.
Holy
That'd be
mackerel!
perfect.
It's
I
never
mean,
been done. I
it'd be like
guarantee it.
that 911 call.
Oh
That's like my
yeah,
favorite thing ever.
yeah, dude,
And yeah, that it'd just be like that, but better, and it'd be great. And
totally.
if Seth and I were there, we probably would then chase after it. I think I have a feeling that it would immediately be like that thing then goes, and we would, and then it'd be like days later we'd finally give up our hunt for like
Seth has
chasing
already
after it.
chased after one Bigfoot. There's
Yeah,
nothing to stop him from
yeah,
chasing after
he'll do
another
it.
one.
He'll do
So
it again, and
yeah,
I definitely, I hope I'd have that courage, because then it'd be like, what's it gonna do? Like, kill me? And then if
it's
it
gonna
kills
rip
me,
your
it's
face
like,
off, dude.
oh, then I'll be the guy who got killed by the first real Bigfoot.
That's true.
What you gonna do? Unless
That's
we all
true.
get
You will.
mauled, which then
Yeah. Which would be a
doesn't really work.
kind of a cool way to go out. I'm not
Yeah,
saying I want it to happen to either
and
of
then
us, but
hopefully there's like one member of the Small Town Monsters crew who makes it, who can edit it together, and then you know, we do what we do.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. If you were to, let's say, if future year you have the uh you can choose, you know, what one of the movies is going to be that's coming out. Has there been one in your mind where you're like, oh, I wish we could do that, and it always is kind of like, no, Andy, we're not going to do that, or
There's
you
a
know?
few projects that I'd love to do. Um, a few are starting to get worked on, which
Oh,
is kind
okay,
of
I
cool.
got you.
Um, there's the idea, and I'll just share this here because, oh well, like it might happen, it might not. But there's the idea of sort of showing off the research end of things a lot more,
Mm,
where it's there. You know, there's a lot of documentaries that are years and years of someone being into a certain thing that they
yep,
document, and then they sort of put that together. Doing some version of that, I'll say that much. I'm not going to say what I
sure.
would choose if that's a cheat for like a legend movie. I'll try to think of that. See, I don't know, because like I would probably, if you would have asked me a few months ago, I would have said something to do with the Chestnut Ridge, and that's something in
Now it's a
production.
thing.
So because I love that area so much, like it's one of my favorites. My dad and I were just talking about it last time I was with him, just how rich that area is with history, and then with like the paranormal, and it's just gorgeous. It's just, I love that area. So any excuse to spend more time there, I would really like. um I'd probably want to do something more about like urban legends than cryptids these days, because I think, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
any cryptid I would have picked we've already sort of done. So like, but like exploring like the melon heads would be
Oh, that'd
something
be
that I
weird.
think would be really fun. Something where it's a focus on the stories and how they impact places, and then you go and research them, sort of everything we do, but with things that are a little less cryptids. Even though I love the cryptid stuff, it's just, again, it's like I don't know what we do that hasn't that I'd actually really be interested in. I guess I'll say this after thinking about it and stalling for so long. Bishopville Lizard Man would be a lot of fun.
That'd be
That would
cool.
be
Okay.
that'd be pretty darn cool. Keep it stylistically when it happened. So like, what would that be? Like the 80s? That was the 80s,
I
or
think you're
80s
right.
or
Yeah, yeah.
90s.
Yep.
So keep it around there. That would be a lot of fun. So I think that would be my dream like legend film, if we could finally do that, because it'd also be a way to get back there, because we were there once briefly for like half a day, and I'd
Mm.
like to really go back. And I don't think I've never actually like laid eyes on Skateboard Swamp, and I'd love to do that.
Oh yeah. I mean, because you have gotten to go to a lot of places over the years,
Hmm.
which is really cool.
Yeah, I've really been blessed with that.
Yeah.
I have to say. Yeah.
Is there a place that's on your, let's say, bucket list, that like cryptid bucket list? They're like, oh, I really want to like get to, like Bluff Creek or something like that.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think Bluff Creek is the place.
Yeah,
It's or any of those places in California would be really cool. Bluff Creek or British Columbia. The
oh, that'd be
more and
cool.
more
Yeah,
I think about it, British Columbia sounds like a lot of fun and like is so rich with Bigfoot history. Like you have John Green and Renee Hinden
totally.
and everyone. I could just keep listing names. Um, were from there, and that's sort of. I mean, we could see British Columbia from Port Angeles when we were in Washington, so it was like,
Dude, Port Angeles, that's
yeah,
another
sweet,
Twilight shout out, my
sweet
dude.
town.
For sure, man.
um, uh, so like, I'd love to go there. I think British Columbia or Bluff Creek, somewhere around there. And there's a few other places that I still have to go. I'd still spend time in the Adirondacks, like anytime, like
Beautiful.
any time that like, hey, you want to come out and look? I'd probably find a way to if I had
Awesome.
the time.
That's awesome. Hold on 1 second, mon frere. Okay, we're back. So people would probably be distraught if I didn't try to get some amazing knowledge from you, since you're on the inside. Is there anything cool that you can tell me coming up about 2022?
Well,
Andy's on the inside.
well, yeah. The reason I asked to be on the show, I can get into if you want me to.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
As many people know, well, as probably a few people know, we're doing the Weird Side of Normal is coming sometime in April, like I mentioned, and that show is going to be every other week. Some people would say bi-weekly, some would say bi-monthly,
Okay.
whatever floats your boat. But that's going to be like an every other week sort of thing. But what people don't know is that there's going to be a show that's the other weeks, and I'm here to say and proud to announce that show will be the return of Sasquatch, show about Bigfoot.
No way, really?
Yeah, hosted
Oh, wow.
by yours truly and my father, Mark Matzke. We are returning to the Sasquatch podcast.
Oh, man.
And we are planning on fully revamping our Sasquatch Nation idea, which, for those who don't know, this was an idea we had towards the end of previously hosting Sasquatch.
Okay.
Where we would go state by state and talk about Bigfoot in that state, talking to researchers or people who are knowledge bases in each of those states, and alternating that with like episodes devoted to cases in that states. And we're restarting that. So
that is it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea.
Like
I love that.
That's been unfinished business for years. And so now we're going to try to get through them all. The first one's Alabama. So that's,
that's a great one, dude.
Keep us in your thoughts and prayers about trying to get a first few good episodes, but then we get right into Alaska. So
totally
we're excited for that. Right now there's not really, in the old days with Sasquatch Nation, it was 1 episodes of cases and 1 episode of interview with researcher and all that, or maybe possible witness. Now, I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're sort of going to take our time and sort of take it at our own pace. Like if it's an episode or a state like Alaska or California or Washington, I think we're going to take our sweet time and talk to as many people as we can.
Oh, that is so. Let's take one that's really exciting. Like that is, I wasn't expecting that at all. That is very exciting to me.
Yeah.
Can you? Let's do a little background about. I feel there's enough people listening to this, especially because I have a lot of younger viewers that have no idea what Sasquatch is, unfortunately.
Well, let me give a brief history if I can.
Okay.
Sasquatch was started back in 2014 by Seth Breedlove.
Okay.
and then was hosted for about 100 episodes with him and my dad, and they just sort of talked about Bigfoot,
Mm-hmm.
talked to many researchers and sort of notable names in the field.
Oh yeah.
And then I hosted with my dad, and that was a lot of fun. And we sort of, that's when the Sasquatch Nation idea was developed.
That's a good idea.
And so now there's sort of been a few years. I probably should have looked it up before I started talking, but a few years of, silence. It's time to bring Sasquatch back on the Small Town Monsters Broadcasting Network. It will be on YouTube, and it will be back on, the podcatchers and all that. I'm really excited about it because I really think that we have an opportunity to really do a real deep dive, which is a term that's used a lot these days, but a deep dive into this whole phenomenon and cases. And hopefully my hope is that we will really thoroughly research everything that we talk about on the show. I mean, right now we have a month before the first episodes need to go out. So we have plenty of time to research and plenty of time to keep ahead. And hopefully that will guarantee that we maintain the best, highest quality content that we can for our listeners.
I feel like Sasquatch back in the day was definitely far ahead of its time. And also, like, because I a while back I started like doing really looking into some stuff with it and like researching it and like reading Seth's old blogs that I found on Internet Archive, or you know what I'm talking about, like the Wayback Machine, because they're still out there. And it's crazy. Like they were having meetups and stuff. Like there was a very like the community around it was pretty intense at times.
Yeah, Sasquatch in its heyday had quite the following that was kind of surprising and still shocking. And Sasquatch, for those that don't know, was really sort of a precursor to Small Town Monsters. It's sort of like it sort of comes right before STM hits. And so we hope to continue that. The intro of the show is it's a show for skeptics, believers, and knowers, and people have a casual interest in the subject. And we hope to keep that up, where it's not something for just people who are really, really into it, but people who are just casually into it. But the people who, have been interested in the subject for a long time, hopefully will gain new knowledge from it and will take you new places. Whether that Sasquatch Nation thing will be the whole show or not, I don't know. It probably won't be. There probably will be episodes that fall outside of that.
I'm
just for posterity's sake, and probably to make sure we don't completely lose our minds. But it's exciting. I think we'll do pretty good. I hope we get farther than Arkansas this time. That's all I have to say. I don't know if we're going to go through them all, but I hope that's as far as we got last time, and that's not very far. So.
Did you have a so you can still listen to the old Sasquatch episodes? They're still out there for the most part, right?
The old ones, there's still quite a few of those up. I know at least on iTunes there are some.
I think you can find them on Podbean too.
Yeah. Well, Podbean's probably also the perfect place to go.
Yeah. Do you have thinking back on like you being involved with those that podcast back in the day? Did you have any episodes that you were a real fan of?
Oh, that's a good question. I remember way back in the day thinking it was the coolest thing that they interviewed George Norrie. They interviewed George Norrie at one point.
That just still blows my mind. That was how is the connection there?
Cool.
You know,
I think it's because Seth was on Coast.
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah, right.
And that was amazing. And even though we had met him, like when they interviewed Lauren Coleman, like for little me, that was like so cool. That was so cool. I've re-listened to a few older episodes here and there recently, and they're really good. Like that's what's fun is like those old original Sasquatch episodes have something special with them. And I don't know if we'll be able to recreate that or if we'll find something new. But I'm just excited to do this, and I'm so excited that I got to share that here.
That is really I'm pumped that you got to share it here.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool. I think a lot of my listeners will be super excited about, and that'll be video as well.
Yeah,
on?
that'll be video and audio. Yeah.
Man,
Look for that sometime in like April.
Okay. Wow. That is cool. Because I mean, you got like the whole state thing. You could do, I know there are a few of those episodes where like I just like you guys would take a topic and just deep dive on it, and like some of the
I really
best
hope
episodes.
to do that. There's a lot of research and investigation that I personally want to do. There's places that I want to go back to. There's things I want to look into. And hopefully Sasquatch will sort of be the platform that stuff is shared through. Like I forgot until we were researching for an episode of Monstropolis that I hosted that there is so much in Ohio. Yeah. I really had forgotten. There's so much within an hour, 2 hours of where I live that it sort of would be a shame that once the weather's nicer that to not go out and see for myself some of these things and hopefully to report back to our listeners and viewers.
That is really cool. Oh man, that's cool. So it's going to be you and your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the plan.
Heck yes, dude. That is super exciting. I am pumped. I mean, I only have so many hours in the week, Andy, to listen to podcasts. I mean, I gotta rearrange it all again. But
sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm pumped for Sasquatch, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, we can refine our footing and just sort of get as far as we can into all that. I think part of it too, part of the reason we're doing this is there was a few months ago now, we needed to record Monstropolis episodes, and it was only my dad and I were available, and so we recorded together, and we really enjoyed doing that. And I think that's part of this is that me personally, I know my dad's been podcasting this whole time, but it's sort of rediscovering that love of being in front of the camera, and behind the microphone.
Totally.
And,
totally.
Just sort of sharing that with people and trying to, be encouraging to people and sort of give them something what they want. Because, our audience on Monstropolis seems to like the Bigfoot stuff. So let's talk about it. And we enjoy talking about the Bigfoot stuff. So.
And if you can have a place where it's like someone has the, they're listening to podcasts and they're like, okay, every time there's a new Sasquatch episode, I know it's going to be something rocking about Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's that consistency that I hope to bring. We'll see what happens, but that's what I hope to bring to the show.
Oh man!
And then who knows what'll happen to Monstropolis, because it seems like we talk about Bigfoot a lot on there. So who knows?
That's true. Well, if you could focus on other stuff.
Yeah, it'll give us a lot of freedom, I think, to sort of go out there. And I think that's something that Monstropolis did really, really well back in the day, or like has done really well, is sort of going out there into places that no one's really thought of before, and sort of blazing a trail.
Wow, super, super duper exciting.
Yeah.
Man. That is cool. Yeah. That is cool. Are you going to be at CryptidCon?
I'm not sure. I hope. I
think I asked you this on Instagram.
It's fine. You're keeping me on my toes, seeing if I'm giving the same answer.
That's true.
Hopefully, my dad and I were talking about that the other night. I hope to be. I'll try to be. I should be. I'm just going to keep saying.
Amazing. Oh, how about this? We'll end with this. You're getting in deep with podcasting.
Yeah.
Do you, and there's probably a lot of people listening to this that are like, oh, I could start my own.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone who wants to start a podcast?
Do I have any advice?
Yeah.
I do. and it's advice that I need to follow myself.
Okay,
It's
good.
one, just go for it. Like, do it. It's sort of like with all creative things. You just have to. Something that goes along with that is the idea that the first time, if you're new to this, the first time you do anything, it won't be the best.
No.
And that's okay. That's what happens. Like the first few episodes of Monsteropolis that I edited aren't good. Or the first podcasts I was on years and years and years ago aren't good. That's okay. It's like it's not going to be what you want it to be. But if you do it and you release it, and then if you want to be a podcaster, the trick is you got to release episodes consistently.
Oh, you have
got to
to
do it. That's that's your key. Like that's the trick. That's all there is. And focus on talking about something that you really like, and something that you really know what you're talking about. And if you don't know what you're talking about, that it's something you've researched a lot. That always helps. That's something from way back in the day with old SAS episodes. It's the more research you do, the easier it is to talk, because you can pick and choose what there is to talk about, and you don't have to stress that to fill time. You can just, if you have more notes than you have runtime, then you're good. So yeah, just do it. Be yourself. Enjoy it, and you'll do just fine. You'll be okay. It might be a little tricky. You might get really self-conscious. You might realize some things about yourself that you didn't notice. You'll notice little quirks in how you talk and how you look if you're doing a video podcast that you'd never thought you'd
notice.
That
took me a while to get over that.
Like,
my goodness.
Drive you crazy.
Holy
like
mackerel.
I've noticed like weird quirks and tics that I do that I don't like, but I don't think other people notice as much. And if they do, oh well, they're still listening.
So the thing is like the people, your people will find you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't look to what like I'm doing on like the STM YouTube as how you should be doing, because you have to realize, and this is where I'm very fortunate and where we're very blessed, where the platform I'm on is larger than the audience for what we're actually doing is. Like, they're not there for our podcast. They're there for like Beyond the Trail, and they're there for all those things.
That's a really good point.
The fact that our episodes do so well is a benefit to, Alexander Petikoff and Eli Watson and the Bigfoot Project and things like that. And like, because in full transparency, like, Lore, podcast numbers still aren't great. Like, that's something I need to work on. Like, the actual episode downloads aren't fantastic. So like, we have an audience on YouTube for that, and there definitely is a fan base growing. But I mean, these things take time. Also, your trailer episode will get more plays than like any other episode you do for a while.
Trailer episode. Can you explain that?
And like, if you release like a little preview of what your show is going to be, like one of those, like sort of, hey, this show is about things, I feel like those get way more plays than anything else. And if you do find if you're plugged in with a community and you release start a podcast, your first episode will be big, but the rest you sort of have to build your audience for. That's another observation of mine. This is just random podcast facts that I've noticed.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be consistent. It'll take a while. I just, I want to say I've been at it for like 2.5 to 3 years. I just hit 100K downloads, but it takes a while to get there.
Yeah, it really does. And like, you have your community, and that's good, but there's still so many people who aren't in that listen to you. That's sort of what I need to, like, I'm trying to articulate, but doing very poorly, is that your audience is wider than you think it is, but that audience takes a lot of time to grow. Like, and you got to be patient. like you're saying, this is a tedious process, but if you enjoy it and you like what you do and you like what you're talking about, then it'll be a breeze. And if you're doing it with people, make sure they're people that you like talking to and that you're comfortable talking to.
Exactly.
Because if not, it won't go too well. That is if you're like hosting a show with people.
Yeah. Bigfoot Society is a solo adventure for sure.
I don't I don't blame you. I
Yeah.
can understand why.
I can't imagine like shows with co-hosts. That must be wild.
It's
Scheduling
fun.
and stuff.
It's
My
fun, but
goodness.
it's a beast to schedule. Like I don't know when we're recording Monsteropolis next, and that's kind of troublesome. But
Yeah,
like I have no clue. But it's interesting. But if you all enjoy each other and you genuinely like have a fun time when you record, it's fun. It's great.
totally.
Like it's fun to be in the room. Like when I'm behind the camera, I'm not like all downtrodden that I have to film another
Right.
one. It's like I have to not laugh all the time is sort of the issue.
Yeah, I could see how that being in that room could be a pretty fun time.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. I hope that comes through.
Some of the best podcasts out there are when you can hear the people in the room laugh in the background, because that's something about that, just like it sets up something off in the listener.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that is hilarious. It's just weird, you know?
Yeah, I've been thinking of setting up a camera on me for Monsteropolis for the longest time. One, so like you can just see the fact when I'm talking, so people understand that.
Oh, that would be really funny, actually.
But also just to see me dying laughing, or to see my reactions to some of the things like Seth says, because sometimes I'm like slumped over. It's fun. It's fun. I might do that, but I feel weird about doing that if it's me.
You should consider it. I think that would be really fun. Yeah,
we'll see.
Andy, thanks so much for hanging out and for letting us know about I mean, I was not expecting Sasquatch. That I was maybe hoping and praying that someday some miracle could happen, but like this is pretty cool. So thank you for letting me share that with my listeners, and April's gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Definitely. You're welcome back on. We will have to check back up with you. Hopefully not in another 2 years. We'll make it less than that. But how can people, if new people to SDM, how can they keep up to date best with what you guys are doing?
Well, the best place for all the stuff I've talked about today, well, most of the stuff I've talked about today, is the YouTube, youtube.com/smalltownmonsters, or just search us up.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff there. Our stuff is also on Amazon and Amazon Prime and all sorts of places like that. The Instagram, you can find us there. Instagram for normal Small Town Monsters, and then the STMBN is also there. So if you're a big fan of the podcast, you can follow us at STM_broadcasting_network, and all over Facebook, wherever. But if you want to, if you want to support and watch what we do, I'd say the best place is Amazon for our normal films, Amazon Prime and stuff like that.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming back on, Andy, and have a great rest to your night.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for listening to the Bigfoot Society podcast. Please take a few minutes to review the show on iTunes, 5 stars, as it does help us get into the eyes and ears of more listeners on iTunes. That will help us just get bigger and bigger and get even better quality guests for future shows. Also, if you have any Bigfoot encounters or cryptid encounters, please send your stories and audio and photos, whatever you've got, over to bigfootsociety@gmail.com. If you'd like to become more involved with Bigfoot Society and get some extra content, we do have a Patreon where you can get all sorts of cool things. For example, for $7 a month, you get extra Bigfoot Society content, usually interviews, but other things as well. You get a sweet membership card and a vinyl sticker that I send to you in the mail. You get access to the Bigfoot Society after show, which is an extra interview after the main interview with the weekly guest, and usually they are up for Patreon members to be in that extra show segment with them and me, and you get to ask your question live to them and get an answer from the guest, which, as you've seen what guest we've had in the past, this could be a really big deal. There's also a private Discord where you can get involved with talking to me one-on-one and the community there, and that's always a great time. You can find the Patreon at www.patreon.com/The Bigfoot Society. We're very thankful for all our supporters that we have in so many different ways, and appreciate all our listeners coming back week after week to listen to more cryptozoology-based interviews. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. The views and opinions expressed are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Bigfoot Society. Any content provided by our guests are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone. Thank you.